All right. It looks like we have Tina on the line, and she is here. Hello, Tina, and welcome to the Build Your Consulting Business Now Summit. We are looking forward to hearing from you for this next session. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It's amazing.
Fabulous. We'll go right ahead.
Great, great, great. Thank you for the transition, Lawanda. She is doing a fabulous job already, and you need to stay tuned because she is a speaker coming up on Thursday. You don't want to miss it. But now we have Tina Brigley, coach to the coaches. Tina, welcome. We want to thank you for being here today. And I would like to really just start off. An introduction isn't going to do justice. The question is, am I a coach? Am I a consultant? How do I determine that? Please introduce yourself and tell us why you're the best person to answer that question for us.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I mean, I am a coach. I don't really know what the difference is between a coach and a consultant, but what I do know is this. In order to be a coach, you got to be the real deal. You got to be the real deal in your life because you get to be a stand for what's possible in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one. So, I mean, I think they're interchangeable. Coach, consultant, we have an expectation, and that is to stand for what people really want in their life and be the clearing for them to create it. And why am I a coach? I can't imagine my life without being a coach. Like it's just, I see everything that happened to me in my life perfectly aligned with creating this business that I have today and what I do.
How
So
did
I
you
don't
get
know if that
started?
answered your question,
No,
but it was
that
like,
totally does, because that's very much in line with what I see as coaching and consulting. If you've seen any of my posts from LinkedIn, I gave the definition of what I consider to be the modern day consultant, excuse me, and that is a person who transitions their knowledge, experience, their opinions, their expertise, and transferring that knowledge to someone else for a professional fee. That is what a consultant is. That is what a coach is. Some may make a determination that there's a difference between one that helps you to do it and one that does it for you, but you still have to know what it is. And you know what it is when you coach someone and transition your knowledge as a coach. So please continue to tell us how you got started. How did you come upon this journey of entrepreneurship and coaching?
so my story really goes back to 4 years ago. I'm going to make that story a long story short, but I was an educator. I was a teacher for 14 years. I taught special education. And there was a big part of me that thought there's got to be more. I walked into work on Monday wishing it was Friday. And Friday, I was like wishing for 3:00 p.m. And then when I was at the start of the school year, I was wishing for it to be Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, I was wishing for it to be Christmas. And I just had this kind of aha moment thinking to myself, like, I'm wishing my life away. But what is it that I really want to create? What is there out there for me? And one day I was online and I Googled just for fun, what is wrong with me? And Google popped up 10 crappy feelings and what to do about it. And I thought, I'm not the only person that has these questions.
Wow.
And in that moment, there was a pop-up to become a health coach. And I thought, first of all, what's a health coach? And I knew that Tony Robbins was a coach, but is this something that people actually do? They coach people on their life? I was intrigued. So I signed up for that program. And after I completed the program, I decided, you know what? I want to invest in a business coach to help me grow my business. I don't know what to do, but I know that I want to grow it. And when I got on that call with her, she asked me something, and I say it almost opened up this door of what was possible. She said, Tina, do you want to be a coach or do you want to be a teacher? And I said, oh, well, I would love to be a coach. But how could I give up $100,000 a year job, my pension, my benefits to follow a dream that I don't even know is going to work? There's no way. I can't do that. And she said, let's just pretend that you're a coach. What would you be creating? And all of a sudden, I started dreaming this big dream of being on stages and contributing to thousands of lives and being the one that people look to for advice. And I'm like, that is what I want to create. And she said, Tina, that is possible. That is possible. And 6 weeks later, I quit teaching and I jumped in head first. You know, there was days when I didn't even know if I was going to have money to pay my mortgage. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to feed my kids. But what I did know is I had a belief in me so strong, it was bigger than my fears. Now, fast forward 3 years later, I'm sitting at my computer and I'm crying and just crying, but not tears of joy, tears of pain and frustration, because I quit that teaching job and I had this realization, I'm failing as a coach. I'm online, I'm visible, I'm a speaker, and I'm not making money. What is wrong with me? What did I do? And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go get a job. I quit my teaching job. Like, I can't go back to teaching. And in that moment, I got a message from a coach. And he said, Tina, what's moving, what's shaking? I said, oh my gosh, the only thing moving and shaking right now is my head in disbelief. That coach had been following me for 3 months. And he said, listen, there's nothing wrong with you. There's something missing. Let's find out what that is. And that decision to hire him changed my life. And in the process of transforming my life, I now help others who are feeling stuck or stopped to uncover what's stopping them, what's really getting in their way of having everything they want in their life, including their business. So that was my 4-year story in a short time.
Well, that's a tremendous story. And I made some great notes here to ask you about before we move on to your next segment. You said about door of possibilities. Now that's a tremendous statement right there, because when someone says something and you get that kind of chill or that feeling in your stomach or just something that says to you, pay attention to that door of possibility. And the question that everyone asks, what's wrong with me? Is there something more? Everyone asks those questions. And I just want to normalize that for the audience, that whatever questions you're asking of yourself, things that you're questioning about your decisions, those are questions everyone is asking. And actually, that actually shows that you're on the right path to discovering what your next move is and what your future is trying to bring to you. Your future is trying to catch up to you.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like who we are right now is not who we're destined to be. That's not our authentic selves. Our authentic selves are like, hey, you, when are you going to come meet me halfway? And I got that day in my living room when my knees were shaking.
Yeah.
And the funny thing happened. So I had to return a library book. And I opened up the book, and inside, you know, when just like phrases pop out at you, it said something like, your journey will not be easy, but it's the right path. And then I got into my car and there was a song saying, like, basically it was a song of transformation or stepping into your, you know, like, this is my fight song. You know that, this is my fight song.
Listen to the tracks on the break. That song is in there.
Yeah.
That song
So
is
I
in
thought,
there.
okay, this is like, everything is showing up right now. Like, I get to pay attention or ignore. And I was done ignoring my intuition and my authentic self screaming at me. I'm like, okay, girl, I hear you.
Opportunity is all around us. It's whether we are in tune enough to see those opportunities and seize those opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
pretty exciting.
tell me what was the next level in your transformation, in your journey? What happens once you got rolling and started to gain some clients, more confidence? What happened then?
So the program that I invested in was a very expensive program. Now, to put this in perspective, what I made in a year was the value of this coaching program. And my only goal when I said yes, and actually I didn't say yes right away. I got off the phone, complained to my husband that this coach wanted me to invest this kind of money in him and how ridiculous I thought it was. And my husband looked at me and he said, Tina, you're not making any money. You're stuck. How long do you want to be stuck in your business? And I said, Well, now that you put it that way, he's like, do you trust him? I said, yes. He said, then invest in him, but invest in yourself.
Yes.
Believe in yourself. And I said, okay. So I called him up right away. I said, send me the link right now before I change my mind. And then when I signed up, I realized I also had a money block. I had a block about, I lived in scarcity and lack, and I was afraid of money. And I was actually pushing money away. People were coming to me. I was sending them to other coaches. And so when I had this breakthrough, when I saw a lot of blind spots, when I saw what the limiting beliefs were that I was hanging on to, and I got them out of the way, 10 days later, I earned that investment back. 10 days.
Could you explain maybe just one example of what one of your limiting beliefs were, so that maybe the audience can identify with that, or maybe one that you typically hear that people have, so that we can just have a point of connection?
Yeah. So I was a leader in my life when it came to helping grow other people's businesses. If somebody said, hey, Tina, we need you to promote this, or we need you to do a Facebook Live, or we need you to, I'm like, yeah, I'm your girl. If it didn't have anything to do with my business, I was the most enrolling person out there. I mean, I could sell like anything. But when it came to putting myself out there, showing up powerfully online, sharing what I did in my business, I just wouldn't do that. And so my coach said to me, what is the belief that you have about that? And I said, people don't want to hear what I have to say. And he's like, that's interesting. Where does that come from? I said, well, it's the truth. People don't care what I have to say. Nobody's watching. It's like there's crickets. And he's like, okay, so tell me another time when you felt that way. And I said, oh boy, well, I'm going to go back to 7th grade when I was the new girl. And there was a group of girls that bullied me. And they said, who do you think you are? Come into our school. I think what they said was, thinking you're all perfect. Nobody likes you. Nobody cares about you. Go back to your old school. And I got bullied for a whole year. And their external voice became my internal voice. Who do you think you are? You think you're so good. You're not. You're nobody. You're nothing. Nobody wants to hear from you. So every time I went to share a post online or do a Facebook Live, my head was like, I was terrified, like debilitating fear overcame me. And I realized in that moment when he was asking me those questions, they're not real. Those things that happen don't define who I am today. And then he asked me, if you weren't afraid to show up, if you weren't thinking those thoughts about yourself, who would you be being in your business? And I said, oh, I would be powerful, unleashed, a leader in my business. And what would you create? I'm like, the sky is the limit. Like Tony Robbins, look out, because I'm a coming. And he's like, okay, so when do you want that, now or later? I'm like, I want it now. Heck yeah, I want it now. He said, are you willing to believe that that's who you already are? Powerful, unconstrained, unleashed. I'm like, yeah. And I just blew up in that moment when I saw what was actually getting in my way. Now, I've uncovered a million of those blocks on my journey, but that was a big one for me.
But that is tremendous. That is so tremendous. And I identify with that. And I'm sure many in the audience can identify with that as well, where someone, whether it's some kid in school or sometimes even a family member, may apparently try to protect you by keeping you small because they don't want you to get hurt, but they're actually limiting you. And our power comes from identifying those moments. And sometimes we need a little help identifying those moments, going back to those moments. But once we actually see it, express it verbally, then it has no more power. And my guess is that that's part of what you do as a coach, help them to identify those points.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first step in transformation, really. It's identifying those triggers, those things that really upset you, the things that make you angry or make you sad. When there's a repeated pattern, there's always a story. There's always a source. Now, the more of those triggers you can find, the more likely you are to get them out of the way. So now they don't, like you said, they don't have power over you anymore. When you see them, then it's like, there, every time you see them, oh, there you are again. Oh, there you are again. And it's almost like, they're always going to be there, but you get to like put them in the back seat of the car. They don't have to ride shotgun with you. They don't have to run your life,
Yeah.
And that really is one of the first things that I do with my coaching clients is I help them identify patterns in their ways of showing up and their triggers, and just like, look, get curiously engaged in them instead of being at the effect of them. And when we can get curiously engaged, then it's like, oh yeah, I see that. And it's not true.
And it's not true. Do you do any type of journaling to keep track of them, or so when they do pop up, you remember and they don't have that hold on you anymore? Or would you suggest any other tips or strategies that we can actually take from this session and run with and put into actionable steps?
Yeah, one of the biggest action steps that I can recommend is start to see your life as a story. And when you start seeing your life as a story, there's always lessons to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can find the lesson, my co-founders joke around with me because I always say there's always a blessing in a lesson. So when you can find the blessing in the lesson and you can share that in a way that really teaches your methodology, like for coaches, consultants, even people that are entrepreneurs watching right now, Simon Sinek says it perfectly when he says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Now, people are looking to know you, to like you, to trust you. People are emotional buyers. When they know, like, and trust you, then they're open to hearing what you have to give. So when we are seeing these lessons as blessings that we get to give away, all of those lessons are also sharing who you are. It's like you're taking a lemon, making lemonade, and you're sharing with others how to create lemonade out of their lemons. And
Wow.
that is a powerful way to connect with people. And coaching and consulting is all about relationships. So I keep a story journal. I have my phone, and I don't put the whole story, I put the nuggets. So, I had a situation with my daughter one time. She ran off the bus. She was so excited. She's like, mommy, look it. I'm so excited. I said, why? What happened? She's like, look, I only got one wrong on my spelling test. And my heart sank. And I thought, oh my gosh, she got 19 right, but she's focusing on the one wrong. So I took a Sharpie and I crossed out the 1X and I put 19 and a check mark. I said, honey, you got 19 right. Let's celebrate that.
Yeah.
Well, that story, that lesson is so powerful for coaches. How many times do you look for what's not working in your business, but you don't look for all the things that are working? As an entrepreneur, how many times do you focus on what you didn't do right, or the money or the revenue, instead of all the things you're doing right? So I just take that story and I'm like, oh, that's great content. This is life happening. And every day my job is, let me find a lesson. Let's look at my triggers. Let's look at my upsets and let's turn them into a valuable lesson that I get to give away. And so this is how I see my life. So nothing ever really upsets me. And if it does, I'm like, ooh, I'm triggered right now. Where is this trigger coming from? And then the second part of transformation is really being able to let go of those limiting beliefs that are holding me back, those triggers that are stopping me. And then what shows up is the authentic version of ourselves. Then we get to not be at the effect of it and just notice it coming up, seeing the lessons, seeing the blessings, giving it away. And then we're able to take committed actions. It's almost like the system has to be in place. You have to go through the pain to be able to take bold, committed action, because it's scary being an entrepreneur. It's not an easy ride.
Yeah.
Even your summit, this is an incredible amount of work to put together and organize. And, there's things that'll probably work and things that won't, but it's all beautiful because then you'll get to learn and grow and give it away and teach others and share your gifts and your talents. It's remarkable.
Taking the chance as opposed to sitting on your dream, which
Mm.
one gives you more anguish? Sitting
Yeah.
on your dream, especially as more time goes by, will cause you more anguish than any risk you could take moving forward in something that you've never done before, because you'll always wonder, what if? Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine living a life of what ifs?
In the positive, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like stepping into like, what if I could create this online summit and contribute to thousands of people? What would that be like? Oh, but I'm really scared. Okay, but what if I could get over that fear and do it anyways? Man, that would be remarkable. Okay, cool. Choose fear, action. Because the fear always goes away eventually when we take action. And the value we get out of life and our business, everything is based directly on our action.
When you surround yourself with experts who are expert at what they do, then you never have to do it by yourself because, as you said, you don't know how to do everything.
No.
But when you couple with other people who know what they do, they can fill in the gaps of what you don't know. Then you have the complete picture, and it's 100 times better than what any individual could have done solely on their own. Even with putting together this event, I had a vision, I had a dream, I knew who I was wanting to serve. However, I could not do this without my team. I could not do this without all the tremendous speakers who are giving of their time and their energy and their valuable knowledge to make this happen. They believed in the service to the audience. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for being here. And I want to just open up to the audience. Any questions that you have, get them ready because Tina's bringing it on home now. Tell us, Tina, what's the next item you'd like to talk about as part of your journey?
Oh my gosh, how many? Okay, so I didn't realize that I was proficient at storytelling marketing, and I call it marketing, but it's really just storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was in my very first personal development seminar, and the coach had us looking at childhood stories and helping us uncover like the genesis of our identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was sitting there and I realized like I had these stories from the past, and these stories shaped my identity and who I am today. And then I started sharing myself authentically, sharing my transformation. And the amazing thing happened because as I started creating clients, like there's 1, 2, 3, 5, why it made me, how come it was so easy for me to leave teaching was because I had created momentum in the beginning. And people would say, well, what's your secret? How are you creating clients? Like, are you marketing? Are you using funnels? I said, no, I don't know where they're coming from. They're just reaching out to me. And so what I realized is by me authentically sharing myself, my stories, my breakdowns, my breakthroughs, it was like people didn't see me. They now saw themselves in my story. They were stuck where I was. And they saw me not as like the hero, they saw themselves as the hero of my story. Like that could be me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were connecting at such a profound, deep level. They almost felt compelled to like reach out and say, oh my gosh, were you like, do you know me? Actually, I had a friend one time that said, I saw that post. I just wanted to thank you for sharing my story in a way that, really connected. I'm like, it wasn't about you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? I'm like, no, it wasn't actually about you, but she felt like that you are telling my story.
Mm-hmm.
And as coaches and consultants, when we can have that type of impact, what we do is we create music online instead of contributing to the noise.
Mm.
See, we live in this information society where people are just so quick to scroll. But every once in a while, it's like when you're going downtown and you're shopping with your girlfriends, you can't go into every store unless you have like days, right? But there's that one store that you're like, oh, boom, I want to go into that store. Like that looks really interesting. Well, when we create content that really deeply connects with people, it's like they stop long enough to say, I want to go into that store. I want to check out this store. And you're the store. And now what they're doing is they're seeing, is there something in there that can give me value? And then when they see that there is, they follow. And then they Google. One of the first things that pops up on Google is your LinkedIn profile.
Mhm.
And I say your LinkedIn profile is your website, your business card, and your website, your business card, and your resume.
Mhm.
It's all in one.
Yes.
So when people are Googling you, what we really want to do is we want to build the know, like, and trust factor.
Mhm.
And if it's all like, look at me, I created this summit and I have thousands of clients and I've done this and I've done that, your people are like, whoa, that's not even me at all. Like, I can't even relate to that. She's so big. Sometimes it intimidates them. So I say, okay, who were you before you had all of that stuff? How did you get to where you are? Let's talk about the things that it really took you to get to where you are, because that's what people want to hear. And so I know that being able to share your stories in a profound way, what it does is it taps into the parts of your brain that build trust, that build love and connection. When we're just giving information all the time, it taps into one part of the brain, and usually that's the critical part of the brain. The critical part of the brain that's saying, is it right? Is it wrong? Is it good? Is it bad? Do you know what you're talking about? Don't you know what you're talking about? We want to shut down that critical part of the brain. And stories build connection.
Yes.
It blows up the brain. It taps into, it like releases so many chemicals and like neurotransmitters and all of that scientific stuff. And then what people are left with is this experience that calls them forward to take action for their life. And the more consistent you are with that messaging, the more they're getting it, they're being triggered and they're just getting ready. It's like they're on the fence, they're waiting. The more consistent, the more powerful, the more you show up authentically, then they're like, okay, now I'm ready. Now let's have a conversation.
Isn't it true that even in the stories, that's what creates the memory versus the facts? Facts tell, but stories sell. And we're not necessarily about the selling portion, but when we say sell, that means builds the relationship, because then there's that point of connection to want to know more. So facts and figures are great, and there are certain people who like facts and figures, but it's the story that becomes memorable, because whether it's a speech, a presentation, no matter what it is, it's the story that you remember versus what was the title, what was the topic. It's the story that you remember.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Facts do tell, stories sell. And when you are sharing a story, what you want people to do is be like, oh my gosh, I was at this online summit and I heard this story and I was sitting there and I was thinking, oh my gosh, that is me. She's talking to me. You want people to start talking, because then it's like they do your marketing for you. You know, you want to create this buzz, and it really does create music, because you're right. We don't, as coaches, consultants, we don't sell. But what we're doing is we're selling ourselves.
Mhm.
People won't even get on a call with you if they're not enrolled in who you are. If they don't see you as somebody that can help them, they won't get on a call. They don't have time for that. But when they know you and they like you and they trust you and they feel like there's this rapport, then they'll say yes. And that's what we're really selling. We're selling ourselves.
So Tina, let me ask you this. For
Yeah.
our new entrepreneurs who have been in business less than 5 years, or maybe they haven't even started at all, and they are launching as part of this summit. They said, I'm going to do it and I'm going to get the information I need to do it. What would be a first step for them to now take their experiences that they've already had, whether it's from work or just life in general, and build that story to let their new prospective customer know that they are the right fit for them?
So I mean, I think that's there's multiple levels to your question, and there's multiple solutions. One is get a coach, get a mentor, be willing to invest in your business because your business is an investment. You can do it alone, but it might take you a lot longer to get there, and time is money, and money is impact. And impact is transformation. You're transforming the world, even if you're selling a product, right? You are selling something that people need. It contributes to their quality of life, whether we see it like makeup or whatever you're selling. So I always say, get a coach, get a mentor, get a consultant to help you get to where you want to be quicker. I know because it took me 3 years to ask for help. I had a lot of pride and I thought I can figure it out. I'm an academic. Of course I can figure it out. Building a business is quite different. And sometimes what we do as entrepreneurs is we get all this free stuff online and it's really great. But sometimes we use that as an exit to avoid growing our business, right? The exit strategy is I need to learn more. I need to, be more. I need to study more. No, just you already have all of the nuggets within you. Your life experiences, your work experiences, to be able to pull the gold out of those. Really, if you're a coach or a consultant, one of the things you get to create is session 1. Co-create the rest with your clients. If you're an entrepreneur and you're not a consultant, but you really want to grow a coaching or you want to grow a business, be willing, even if you're selling a product, to share who you are. Mm-hmm. There was these guys online and they were selling these towels that like dry really quickly on the beach. Now they could have just sold these towels, but no, there was a story behind why. And they shared the story about how they were saving the dolphins and how every purchase of their towels goes to this and how they're eco-friendly and how they saved, like they went in this whole story. I'm like, man, I don't even need one of those towels, but I'm buying one of those towels because I'm going to contribute to something bigger than myself. Mm-hmm. And I think as business entrepreneurs, when it is bigger than us, when we see the bigger picture of what we're actually doing in the world, mm-hmm. There's some power in that. There's some
power. A lot of power. Yeah.
Intentionality and when we can really make it bigger than us, it's a powerful experience of giving back and contributing, and it makes selling seem less snake oilish, like snake oil salespeople. Yeah. No, we contribute first, we sell second.
What are some of the typical questions when you start to work with a new client? What are some of the typical questions that you get asked?
So when I start working with a new client, they always ask, how do I create more high-paying clients? How do I create clients? Where do I find clients? And I said, there's 7.5 billion people in the world. They're everywhere. People are everywhere, at the grocery store. They're at networking events. They're in your groups. I said, you don't need to know how to find the clients. You need to learn how to show up powerfully online so that they come to you. It is creating clients, but really you're creating yourself first.
Mm. So it's looking inside first before you can go outside.
Yeah. And this circles back to being the real deal. If you are saying to your clients, I believe in the coaching process so much that I want you to believe in me. I want you to pay me money. And then you're not willing to invest in yourself. It's a contradiction. It's a contradiction and it doesn't work. If there's something blocking you, then it's also going to block potential clients. If you don't know what's stopping you, you definitely don't know what's stopping them. So if we're not looking inwards and being 100% responsible, there's going to be a lot of missed opportunities. So really taking yourself on is the only way to grow a business. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneur, consulting, coaching, it's all the same. We get to take ourselves on and people are like, what? I'm just selling this, or I'm just doing this, or I have lots of training on how to be a coach or how to be a consultant. That's one part of the coin. The other part is being an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur means that there's going to be fears and doubts and limiting beliefs that show up. Our brain is not wired for change. We're really not wired for change. So when we're willing to take all of it on our whole life and be the best version of ourselves, that's when you will see amplified results. And I can say this because I know I've invested thousands of hours of training and development, uncovering all of my stuff. And I remember getting coaching and it was so intensive. And I remember saying like, I'm not the one. I can't do this. My plate is not big enough. Like I'm doing 20 hours a week personal development. My husband and I were separated for 3 years. We just got back together. I have 2 kids in music lessons and sports. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm growing my business. Like my plate isn't big enough. I can't do it all. And my coach looked at me and said, then get a bigger plate. Like, what? It's like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. You get to choose how you spend it. And if you want everything to work in your life, your relationships, your health, your business, your spirituality, if you want it all to work, you got to create a plate big enough to make it work. And if you really say that this is what you want in your life, you want to make a difference, you got to be the stand for what's possible. And what is possible is a world that works for everybody. And we can have it all.
We can.
You got to be willing. You got to be willing to do the work.
When I work with my students, my adult students, and they are challenged in the middle, what I call the middle, it's a period of time after they've started when they're all excited and they're getting ready to start, they're all excited, but after a period of time, they hit the middle where it's too far to turn back, but you still have a ways to go. And I let them know, I remind them, any major leap that they've done in their lives, whether it's graduating high school, college, getting married, whatever major event in their life, it was a challenge and it took extra effort to make that leap, to make that move, to make that next level choice. And this is no different, whether it's starting a business or whatever it may be. It takes additional effort. It's not going to take the same effort as what you might do on a daily basis. So don't expect that. That's where part of the barrier is that sometimes we just think it should be smooth sailing. Nothing in life worth having is that smooth. Inertia. Inertia is effort to move to a new level. Spaceships don't take off just by easy sailing. They have to fire those rockets to escape the atmosphere. We have to escape our own atmosphere to move to a new level.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's like powerful. It's powerful. It's so true. I find working with coaches, even when I was a relationship coach or a health coach, I found right around week 6 is when people start to sabotage. It's when the old brain and the new brain are kind of like battling each other. Mm-hmm. And it's like I say, one's going to win. The old version of yourself or the upgraded version of yourself, you get to choose, but be aware, 6 weeks. And for entrepreneurs, it's the same thing. Right around like that whole excitement, and then something happens. It's like at the beginning of COVID, after a week of being in quarantine, my daughters were fighting and arguing and they were bored. So I said to my husband, what are we going to do? I'm like, okay, wait, I got an idea. I took out a 1,000-piece puzzle from the cupboard. And it was one of those like African lion safaris where everything was neutral tones. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey girls, we got a challenge for you. If you complete this puzzle in the next week, we'll give you $100 each. And so they were so excited and they're like, yes, okay, we're going to do it. Well, after 4 hours of doing it and like struggling, they didn't put one piece together. They had never done a puzzle before. So I said, okay, before you quit, they were fighting and arguing again. I said, let me help you. Let's find the 4 corners. Now let's get all the outside edges and let's put the outside edges together. Well, then all of a sudden Yeah, they started getting like this momentum, right? They were in flow and it was exciting again. But like, this is what happens when we're really excited and things are working. It's like, great, we keep going. Soon as we hit that dip where it's not working, right around the 6 weeks, people like want to quit. They want to give up. It's too hard. Like you said, it's like, no, keep going. Because I promise you, when you hit that dip and you keep going, there's going to be another high. You're going to be like, oh, yes, I made it. I did it. And then there's going to be another low. And you're going to be like, oh, man, this is too hard. And the more you can ride the roller coaster
Yes.
and stick with it and believe, this is the key. Believe that it's possible. Believe that if you focus your mindset, if you really focus on that mindset and training your mind, you will be successful.
And we're on the right track. We're on the believe track for today.
Yeah, for
Tina
sure.
Brigley, wow. Thank you so very much for inspiring us to let us be transparent enough to share our stories, which really helps us to market our business. We don't need to buy ads all over the place. We don't need to build funnels all over the place. Those are nice additions to the core who is you and your story. Thank you so very much. Let's just open up one last time if there are any questions of the audience. And do you have a little something for the audience?
So I'm not selling anything. I do have a free workshop though. If you want to uncover what is getting in your way, what might be stopping you or keeping you stuck, we have a workshop to help you have a breakthrough. Real live coaching, real people all together sharing their stories, their breakdowns. And do you have that link or do you want me to drop it in there? Okay.
Anyone who would like any of Tina's offerings or to be in contact with her, please just, it should be in the Q&A. You should look in the Q&A, but I'll give it to you as well. Just email me directly, jgrant@bycbn, like Build Your Consulting Business Now, summit.com, and put in the subject line, Tina Brigley, and you'll get all of her information, all her offers. So again, that's jgrant@bycbnsummit.com and put Tina Brigley in the subject line. Great. Thank you so much, Tina. Stories sell, information tells. We want to sell ourselves with the service that we have through our stories. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Great. So we are transitioning now to our 15-minute break. I'm going to hand it over to Lawanda to carry us through to the top of the hour where we will have our next speaker.
Well, hey guys, I do hope that you have enjoyed so far what you have heard here on the Build Your Consulting Business Now Summit. Listen, we have had two amazing speakers that have already come forward. And so that's just a precursor into what you can experience as you are moving through this next 5-day summit. We want you to make sure that you are connected. And even if you're not able to join us live, that you are connecting with the replays so that we can continue to inspire you, equip you, and transform you to your next level.